Hello, greetings from Waliczka, near Krakow in Poland, yet again. Just a short one this time, I hope. I always say it, but I really mean it. Firstly, to update everybody on matters related to US shipments. I managed to, with the help of my wife, send over 60 packages to the US last Friday from a town here in Poland that borders with the Czech Republic, a place called Szczecin. And I went to a post office there last Friday afternoon, and with the help of my wife, who could at least communicate a little with the poor lady working in this post office, who dealt with me. With her help, we managed to send, as I said, over 60 of the outstanding packages here, some of which had been waiting to go to America since last autumn. Some of them, I'm sure, had extended network double LPs in. Some of them probably had Edward Caspell LPs or Andrew Lyle's LPs, or even Richard Young's Zirculus LPs. So a lot of packages. I've still got a number left here. I mean, as it stands, I spent the best part of 2.5 hours in the post office last Friday. It took a long time, a lot of paperwork, and my wife helped me for the first hour or so, and then obviously that was enough. So she left me to it, and once I'd completed all these labels and everything, that was it really. I just had to sort of hang around. My phone was dying. I didn't have a book. It was something of a Kafkaesque nightmare, appropriately enough. So, yeah, anyway, the main thing is these packages are now en route to America, and I must wholeheartedly thank everybody who's been patiently waiting for their order to arrive, sometimes for months and months. Almost everybody, and I say almost because there have been one or two exceptions, almost everybody has been patient and understanding. Obviously, I've done other things to help chip away at this big mountain of packages as well. But I've mentioned that, I've mentioned those methods before. But this was the latest one, just going to a post office in the Czech Republic and spending an awful lot of time there dealing with these packages. 25 or 30 record packages remain here, but I'm going to get as many of those as possible to Nick Hamilton in London once again later this week. I'll be shipping them to him in a box later this week, and he will then send these packages on from London, from England to America. And I think I'll then only have between 5 and 10 packages left. So they'll have to wait until my next, solution, the next time I ship a box or whatever, or go to Szczecin again. But Szczecin is not round the corner from where I live. It's 2 hours, 20 minutes in the car. And even the idea of doing a round trip would be, 5.5, 6 hours journey. And it's not comfortable because last Friday I had to take time off work. Again, my wife helped me, and she was off as well. Obviously, I drive around in Poland; that's not a problem. And obviously, I could go to that same post office; that wouldn't be a problem. But it's time, it's money, you know, fuel in the car, all the rest of it. But nobody, I hope, can say that I haven't done my best to try and deal with this shitty situation that's been now going on since late August last year. Absolutely horrendous. A complete pain in the ass. And it still doesn't look like it's finishing. So, you know, and I'm doing these things at my own cost as well, you know, at my own expense. I'm the one paying to go to Sheshan. I'm the one paying for a FedEx box to go to America, like I did recently as well. A huge hassle, loads of paperwork, loads of bureaucratic shit to deal with, you know, to wade through. So it's not pleasant. It's not like going to the post office, my local post office, with a pile of packages and just dealing with them. And again, I'm doing this at my own expense. Sending a box of packages via UPS to Nick in London is out of my own pocket. So I think I'm down. I think I've spent upwards of £350 for maybe heading towards £400 of my own money to deal with this situation. One person wrote to me from America last week and offered to contribute towards this very kindly. But that's the only person. I'm not going to name this person, but you know, and of course I refused. You know, why should anybody in America have to pay extra? So it just means the next release I do will just have to have a couple of quid put on it to help me recover these costs. So I jest, by the way. I still try and keep my releases low priced, you know, fairly low priced, affordable, I should say. Anyway, yeah, so hopefully if you've been waiting for an extended network double LP, Andrew Lyle's LP, Edward Caspel, the Sympathy Portal LP, hopefully, or a Morality CD, hopefully you will be receiving that very soon. So, and thanks again to everybody who's been so patient. A handful of exceptions. I mentioned one before, you know, somebody who complained to Stephen Wilson about having had to wait for a base communion release that he'd ordered and I couldn't send to him. You know, ludicrous. So, and then Stephen told me. You know, there's nothing I can do, and I'm not a rip-off artist. I don't con people. I try to provide a good service with what I do with the labels. I admit that things are erratic, and sometimes things lag, but and sometimes, well, usually these things are out of my control, you know. But you know, there are delays at the plant or whatever, or whoever my contact is at the plant isn't communicating with me or whatever. So, you know, for 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm not getting any answers to my latest sort of queries about a new release or a release that's in production. So these are the usual reasons why things are delayed. Cash flow is another one, of course, but mostly I try and stay on top of things. Anyway, to that end, I'm nearly there with the US orders. Morality, the double CD, which came out 3 weeks ago, just over 3 weeks ago, has completely sold out from me. Cargo will have their copies, well, they've got their copies now. Cargo UK, Sound Dome in Italy have still got some. Drone Records in Germany have got some. Old Europa Cafe, Cold Spring in the UK, Tesco organisation in Germany. So Scream and Writhe in Canada. There are a few places that have got copies of this double CD, but they've sold out from me. They've all gone. I've literally got 3 reserved for people here, and I've just got my own. I thought I'd only got 1 copy for myself, but I have got 2. Luckily, I've put two copies aside. I've got the one that I've played and checked, like I do when I get a new release. I always check that it's okay, and then I play it several times over. Yeah, then I've got a spare copy for myself as well, because I try and keep 2 copies of everything that I release. Yeah, anyway, Morality's gone, the same as the Edward Caspell, the Sympathy Portal LP, completely sold out from me. But again, all of those places that I mentioned, or at least a few of them, might still have copies. And various retailers that Cargo deal with as well, because they are my main distributor. Yeah, so the Morality CDs, double CD's gone. And the next thing that's just about to go into production is the slightly overdue Nipmot LP, the second entry in the Elite Editions series, the subscription series of LPs. That's just about to go into production, and I think Richard Youngs will have his 3rd LP ready. Zermish, I think it's called. Don't know if that's how it's pronounced, but Zermish or Zermish. That will go into, I think it will be ready to go into production later this week as well. And that's another 150 run LP, the 3rd in his trilogy for me, and should have happened a couple of weeks ago as well, but he went down with a cold, and then he had some live commitments in Europe, and I think it'll only be later this week he has a chance to finally sit down and finish the artwork, and that's that. Then the Never Say When LP, double LP, the reissue of the Broken Flag compilation, that is just about to go into production. So that's the next vinyl release on Fourth Dimension, and I'm not sure if it will be limited to 300 or 500 at the moment. Haven't had a great deal at this stage. If I get another, let's say 20, 30 pre-orders, I think it will have to be 500 run. But if I don't get any more pre-orders, it will be 300, and it will probably go really quickly. Well, I think it will go really quickly anyway, but it would be nice to see a few more pre-orders coming in. They always help with the cash flow, and they also help me to gauge what kind of interest there is in a release. So that's the next vinyl release on Fourth Dimension, and as I said, just about to go into production, and I think we'll probably be looking at test pressings sometime around the middle of April, maybe the 3rd week of April, if I'm lucky. If things are not so busy at the plant, they probably are, but hopefully turnaround seems kind of okay at the moment. Hopefully that's what I'm looking at, and then hopefully the test pressings will be approved and the main run will be ready soon after. So we're looking at May, and I'm still on target for late spring, which is what I always said. After that, I don't really have anything in mind vinyl wise for the labels beyond what I'm doing with the Elite Edition series. But that's already fully subscribed. So you know, if you missed out on that, then too bad. Sorry. So I'm thinking about another Edward, approaching Edward Caspel for another release. Could be a good idea. He's always really great to work with, like indeed everybody is that I work with. They're all kind of chilled. So, yeah, I know. I think Stephen Wilson can be a little prickly. I think some people have mentioned it in other podcasts or interviews, but he's absolutely fine with me. So no problem whatsoever. But I don't tend to look up to anybody. So maybe that's the key. So anyway, I don't know. But everybody, without exception, that I work with is lovely, absolutely lovely. Absolutely pleasant, easy. If there are delays or any issues, everybody's standing. Nobody gets irate. It's good. So, and that's how it should be. They're the kind of people I want to work with. And again, Mr. Wilson included. So, yeah. And I don't know how true that is anyway. Maybe it isn't. I mean, he seems really chilled to me. So, it's only hearsay. But maybe Edward Caspel will be next. But I need to write him and moot the idea. Here I am sounding off about it. I haven't even approached him yet. But it is an idea. I had also thought about Justin K. Broderick, but, was saddened by his recent news concerning his health. So I did email him to send him, my best wishes during this terrible time that he's going through. But no, I'm not going to hound him for a release right now. Anyway, CD wise, the Tungu and Tabata album Paranormal Awakening is in production now. I guess it will be ready next week or the week after. Only doing 200 of those. Again, advance interest, not that great. So, and I always use that as a kind of barometer. I think I've had 10 pre-orders, which is rather disappointing considering Tabata's involvement with the album. It's a good album as well, really good. Well, I wouldn't release anything that I didn't feel was good. Really nice album. But that's in production, and then there'll be the Sean Organ album, CD album on Lumberton Trading Company coming fairly soon as well. Hopefully it'll be ready for production during the next week or so. Then there's a Chris Connolly album, CD album on Fourth Dimension. And then there's the Fields of Hay CD on Fourth Dimension coming fairly soon. And then there's a model. I was going to do a lathe cut by Model Bau, Franz de Waard's project, but lathe cuts are ridiculously expensive. Absolutely, overpriced, I would say. You know, to do, I was looking at 25 copies of a lathe cut, and as much as I quite like them to a certain degree, more from the point of view of an artifact with emphasis on art and packaging and everything else, I quite like them from that perspective. They're not the best kind of medium to play, not the best quality. I think they've got better over the years, but they're still not the best. But anyway, 25 copies was going to cost more than doing a few hundred CDs. So I said to Franz, let's do a CD. And he agreed. And I know he likes the format. And actually, the music of Model Bow for this album is really suited to a CD as well. There might be a Stephen Wilson remix. It's been mooted. Stephen was interested. He agreed, but I'm not sure what the latest is on that. So there might even be a Wilson remix on that album as well. We'll see. And to that end, the Bass Communion and Model Bow CD analysis reveals nothing of substance will be here any day now. And once it's here, I'll begin shipping them. So over 500 pre-orders. It's going to be arduous. So there we are. But, you know, I'm made of tough stuff. There's also the Nip Mott book, the art book, long overdue, should have happened well over a year ago. But that's finally almost in the hands of my good friend Puppy38, the designer. He's now liaising with Nick, and I think we've got a kind of an arc for how the book should look, how it should be presented. I've discussed all of that now. Still need to write an introduction, never have time. But once I get stuck into it, it should kind of, you know, fall into place. And I plan to do that this week as well. Yeah, anyway, so lots of things happening. I'll put a link below for the Never Say When compilation double LP. I'll be back here again soon. Once the Bass Communion and Model Bow CD is here, although they've all sold. I think there are 20 or so copies still available, but I pulled it from the shop. 20, 30 copies, I can't remember. I would like 5 or 10 copies to go to a couple of mail order places that I deal with as well. A couple even expressed interest or even reserve copies. I can't remember. I haven't looked at the notes for a long time, but I'll have to return to them in the next couple of days, I'm sure. But yeah, mostly sold out in advance from me. So, which seems to be happening more and more at the moment, and I'm very happy about it. So there we are. I really like fast turnaround releases, even if in the case of Bass Communion and Model Bow, that CD I imagine will take the best part of 3 weeks to process all the orders, maybe more. I don't know. So please be patient. Please be patient. Don't chase me about your order. It's one of my pet hates. Anyway, on that note, I'm going. As I said, Never Say When will be linked separately. And just to round off where I started, if you're based in America, you should be hopefully receiving your order finally very, very soon. And a heartfelt thanks for having been so patient, and fuck the 2 or 3 guys who couldn't wait, and thought that somehow I could, I don't know. Well, I have pulled in alternatives. I've but at my own expense, But it's all beyond my control, and I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who are just saying, "No, I can't ship your order at the moment." So I did find solutions, and again, yeah, fuck those that haven't appreciated it. So, but otherwise, thank you again to everybody who's waiting, and don't let it stop you from placing an order if you reside in America, because I'll get there eventually while this situation is ongoing. Thanks a lot. If you made it to the end, good luck. Thanks. See you next time. Anyway, bye-bye. Bye.